This podcast is a proud member of the UUOP Network.
Are you ready to go the distance with Tricia's Disney pick? Or will Melinda deliver a Jurassic-sized knockout punch with her universal choice on this episode of Theme Park Throwdown?
Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Theme Park Throwdown with me, Tricia at Tricia Travels on Facebook and Tricia Travels 85 on Instagram.
And me, Melinda, and I am at Melinda's Magical Adventures on Facebook and Instagram. And so you can go and follow us on our socials there if you would like to find our independent pages, or you can just follow our Theme Park Throwdown pages. But before we get started, we wanted to take a moment to shout out a listener, DPat4, left us a really kind review on Apple Podcasts, and we just wanted to say thank you so much. We love reviews and hearing from you guys and what you think about the podcast, and we want to let everybody...
I don't know how to do the heart like the kids do. I can do that one.
I don't know either.
What is it like? I don't know.
Millennials not being able to do Gen Z things. That's us right here.
It's true.
But we would love to hear from more of you. So if you are enjoying the show, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Facebook, anywhere you'd like. We would love to hear them. We also want to let you know that you can now watch video recordings of all of the episodes on our YouTube channel, and you can just find us by searching Theme Park Throwdown.
We are so excited to bring you another battle this week. The Battle of the Sequel Park. Dun, dun, dun. In this case, that would be Epcot for me and Islands of Adventure for Melinda. So Melinda's going to kick us off with Islands of Adventure.
I am. All right, ladies and gents, let's dig into Islands of Adventure, or IOA, as I am probably going to refer to it for the rest of this episode, because that's just a long name and I don't want to say it a million times. Islands opened on May 28th of 1999 as Universal's second property, and it is connected to Universal Studios Florida via City Walk, which also kind of became a thing in 1999, shortly before Islands opened. The park originally opened with 6 themed lands, all 6 of which still technically exist today, but maybe not for long, because we've seen official demolition permits for the Lost Continent, which makes me really sad, because even though there's not really anything or much of anything there anymore, I do still love that land. But we know, we'll talk about the future of that land later. We'll get into that a little bit later. Anyways, so the Islands of Adventure was designed around the concept of exploration. So that's where the different islands, the different lands come into play. So since the opening of the park, 2 additional lands have now been added. So if we start from the park entrance going clockwise around the park, you are going to enter into Port of Entry. You got to figure out which way clockwise is. So you're going to enter into Port of Entry. Some people don't consider Port of Entry a land. I'm going to say it's one of my favorites, so don't leave her out. But you're going to enter into Port of Entry. You're going to hit Marvel Superhero Island, Toon Lagoon, Skull Island, which opened in 2016. And if you ask me, the fact that this is an island in itself is ridiculous. It needs to just get over itself and join up with Jurassic Park, because really, you've got an icy and Kong dog stand and one ride and a merchandise cart. That's literally all it is. So get over yourself, Skull Island. But after you exit Skull Island, you are going to go into Jurassic Park. Then the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Hogsmeade, which opened in 2010. And I actually got to go into Hogsmeade before it officially opened to the public, which was really cool. I'm sure at some point or another down the line, I will talk all about that, but I'm not going to fill our time this week with that. And
I do have a question about that, though.
Yeah.
Was this did you like cross some tape or climb a
Oh,
wall to get into this?
listen, I'm not a rule breaker. That is not me. We were we were staying at Hard Rock Hotel, so we were property guests, and we just happened to be there. It was like a month before Hogsmeade officially opened, and they did a soft opening for a few hours every day that we were there that week for hotel guests of the top 3 hotels. So Portofino Bay,
Oh,
Hard
okay.
Rock Hotel, and Royal Pacific. You got to go into the Hogsmeade area for just a couple hours. All of the rides were operational. All of the stores were open. Everything was going. It just, there were only a couple hundred people in there at a time. And so that was a
Wow.
really, really neat experience. But again,
Yeah.
I will talk about that more at a later date. But after you exit Hogsmeade, you're going to enter into the Lost Continent, like we talked about before, and then finally Seuss Landing before you wrap back around to Port of Entry, because there is only one entrance and exit. The park is a complete circle that surrounds a lagoon, and so it makes travel around the park simple and easy to navigate, but it could make trying to get from one specific point in the park to another kind of a lengthy journey. So that's one gripe that people have about it. They used to have, at park opening, there was a boat tour called the Island Skipper Tours that would take you from port of entry on a boat across to Jurassic Park and drop you off there, so you didn't have to walk around the entire park to get to the opposite side. You could just take this little boat ride. But
Mm.
unfortunately, that closed down in 2002. Just didn't really have a lot of people utilizing it. It was kind of expensive maintenance and upkeep. Boats are always a big undertaking.
Yeah.
RIP Jaws. And so, you know, unfortunately, we don't have that today. And with
Mm.
where Velocicoaster is and stuff like that now, it might make it kind of difficult for them to ever bring it back in the future. But that's okay. As of right now, there are 18 total attractions in Islands of Adventure. Some of my personal favorites being Jurassic World Velocicoaster, the Cat in the Hat, although it is somewhat of a creepy fever dream, and the Jurassic Park River Adventure, which currently is down until at least November for maintenance, refurbishment,
Wow.
reimagining. We're not really sure yet. But 5 of the attractions in this land are classified as roller coasters, which makes this park a bit more appealing to the thrill seekers and maybe the like middle-aged, not real young guests, but not real old guests either. So this is a bit more attractive of a park than Universal Studios next door. However, with there being that many roller coasters also means that they're outside, and this park
Mm.
having so many more outdoor rides than Universal Studios Florida can cause a bit of a problem on rainy days, which Florida has a lot of. So there definitely are indoor rides, but not quite as many as the park next door. So each land in Islands of Adventure has its own attractions, themed music that plays in the background, restaurants, snacks and drink stands, merchandise locations. They are all really completely separate from one another. You can really get immersed and lost in each individual land, and there is a very clear distinction when you are leaving one land and entering
Mm.
into another. Everything around you changes, and you are completely immersed in an all new experience when you cross over from one land to another, which is one of my favorite things about
Yeah.
this park.
My
Um,
favorite crossover, which if I recall right now is under like construction, is that bridge between Harry
the bypass
Potter
bridge.
and yeah,
Oh,
I love that.
Harry Potter
The one
Jurassic Park
that
Bridge.
yeah, where you get to
I love
walk past
it.
the side of the castle. That's my
Yeah, yeah.
favorite out of all of them.
I mean, walking through those Jurassic Park gates is obviously so incredible and so iconic. And they actually used to
Yeah.
be at the opposite end of Jurassic Park. They used to be at the
Yeah.
entrance of what is now Skull Island. And then they moved them with Skull Island so that now they butt up against Hogsmeade. My issue with that area right there is the people stopping on the bridge to take pictures of the Hogwarts castle, which I understand completely. Like it's a pointing to yourself. It's obviously like a super iconic view. It's beautiful. You can get some really great shots there, but people just stop in the middle of the walkway and stand there with
Hmm.
their phones in front of their faces, and it is one of the worst like areas in that park to get caught up at. So
Yeah,
I
that's
love it
true.
too, but it's
And
definitely a love-hate relationship.
it's like made exponentially worse because there's that butterbeer cart. So
Oh
people
God,
are in a line for butterbeer and they
I
don't
know.
care. They cut off the traffic there. And then you get your butterbeer and then you go and stand by the castle while you're taking a selfie of yourself with the butterbeer.
It's people
Yeah.
blocking one side of the bridge because of the butterbeer cart, and people blocking the other side of the bridge because they're standing up against the rail of the bridge closest to the castle, trying to get pictures of the castle. So, and then you've got the
So
idiots who stop in the center.
the takeaway is go there early if you want some good castle shots and then don't be a butthead.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. Just have some human decency. There you go. It
Exactly.
should
There
be
you
so
go.
simple. Yeah. Anyways, the only full service restaurant right now in Islands of Adventure is Mythos, which is in the Lost Continent. This is one of my favorites, if not my favorite. It probably is my favorite restaurant in all of Universal Orlando Resort. It is fantastic. It has stood the test of time. We've all seen the banners, voted best theme park restaurant, how many years in a row, whatever. I don't think those banners are there anymore. I might be wrong. But
I don't know.
it's a really great restaurant. It's just a really cool place to even just walk in and look at. It's not too difficult to get a reservation or to do a walk-in if you don't have a reservation, but they do have limited dining hours. So if you are interested in going and dining there, check on those hours of operation before you go. Also, next time you are there, try the lamb hummus appetizer. It is massive, easily shareable, and it is so good. I'm not even a big lamb fan, but it's got ground lamb with all of the Mediterranean spices and the hummus and onions and cucumbers and oh my God,
Mm.
deliciousness. It's so good. This is also going to be my favorite spot in all of Islands of Adventure is sitting on the back patio of Mythos. You can dine outdoors at that restaurant, and on days where it's not super hot, sitting on that back patio, overlooking the lagoon, or going down the stairs from the back patio and walking out onto those bridges, there are just some of the most beautiful views. If you go there at sunset, it's absolutely to die for. You can see the Hulk on one side and Velocicoaster on the other, and it's just very peaceful and serene and beautiful. So if you need a good spot to just center yourself and take a minute and kind of soak it all in, that is the best spot in this park that you're going to find. So that's my fave. So since we're talking about Lost Continent, we might as well talk about the rumors and the confirmed closures and things like that we've seen here. I know, it's so sad. So Mythos itself has had heavily rumored closures, or
Mhm.
it's being heavily rumored that it's going to close as early as this year, sometime this year. Whether that's for a refurbishment or a retheme, we do not know. However, considering the fact that, again, we've seen these demolition permits for areas in the Lost Continent, it's very likely to happen. So this land is huge. Lost Continent is absolutely massive. This
Yeah.
once housed Poseidon's Fury and the eighth voyage of Sinbad's stunt show. You still have the Mystic Talking Fountain, which is really fun. You've still got a bunch of food and merchandise locations here. But besides Mythos, there's not really any attraction to this land anymore.
Mhm.
So the IP that had been talked about most often in recent years to replace this land was The Legends of Zelda. However, it now, I guess that makes more sense now to become a future expansion in Epic Universe because that's a park where they already have Super Nintendo represented as an
Mhm.
IP. And so, and we've seen little Easter eggs like the link in the stained glass and things like that in Epic Universe that kind of
Oh.
hint at the fact that Zelda is going to be going into Epic as opposed to Islands of Adventure. So now, with Universal's recent announcement about their partnership with Pokemon, in which they stated that they are going to be incorporating the Pokemon IP into the parks globally, this now seems to be the front runner for a replacement for the Lost Continent. I personally am like you, if I'm judging by your face right now. I have no personal attachment to Pokemon. So this idea doesn't really thrill me. I understand the popularity and the importance of this IP. So I get that aspect of it. I'm
Yeah.
also not thrilled about the fact that if this happens, I'm going to have to drag my husband and my 7-year-old son out of this park by their hair. I I just so, you know.
Okay, here are my thoughts on this. Why
Yes.
not do it as Zelda? Because then that it's kind of like Harry Potter is in all three parks. It'll make people want to go to more than just Epic. That would just be like a smart thing on the part of Universal. But more so,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. Like, okay, not gonna lie, I was around when Pokemon started. I remember Ask Ketchum,
Okay.
and I know it all. Like,
Trade
I got
Pokemon
that.
cards on the bus. I remember.
You know, so yeah, I had that part of my childhood, but the reality is that I feel like Zelda is more like timeless in the sense that it retains people's interests into adulthood, and
Okay. That's
nothing
fair.
against nothing against Epic, but when you compare like the size of those lands, like those
Yeah.
spaces, there's a lot in a very small area. And I just worry that if they're going to expand and do Zelda, they won't do it justice. Like
Yeah.
Hyrule Field is massive in the game, and there's like so many different landscapes in Zelda that it would be better suited.
And I do feel like that kind of suits itself to the Lost Continent because the Lost Continent has so many little, like almost hidden areas that you can kind of find
Yeah,
yourself just wandering into. And I think they could go really far with that. So I totally agree with that. And I also agree with the idea of having an IP or a company represented in multiple parks. I feel like that as a business makes more sense. The people are
yeah.
going to want to see people who are big Nintendo fans are going to want to see Super Nintendo World and Mario in one park and then oh, we got to go to Islands of Adventure now too cuz we have to go see Zelda over there. Financially, I would
Yeah.
think that that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
But
I'm sad.
and again,
I'll get
we
over
know
it.
nothing. We know nothing. We see rumors. So, I I am not sure. I also was told by my VIP tour guide at Epic Universe that all of the lands that are currently in Epic Universe and that are planned already for Epic Universe were lands that were originally supposed to be put into one of the two legacy parks to begin
Mm,
with. They were planned
interesting.
for the legacy parks. So, really interesting tidbit. Isle of Berk from Epic Universe was supposed to be the replacement for Lost Continent. But
Whoa.
then Universal got the opportunity to
Wow.
purchase this. It all comes down to, we're getting really nitty gritty
Wow.
here, but it all comes down to Universal being able to sell off their portion of Hulu to Disney. So
Mm.
Universal getting kind of this big chunk of money from Disney and saying, hey, Disney, you know what we're going to do with all this money that you just had to give us? We're going to build a whole nother park and compete with you even more. So,
Mic drop.
right. So that was kind of an interesting little tidbit to learn. And I have found myself on many occasions kind of sitting here like, Oh, I wonder where was Mario supposed to go? And where was Dark Universe supposed to go? Those I
Mm.
it's interesting to kind of contemplate
And
that, and
that's why you still have Kong.
I would much rather have Dark Universe because Kong just and then you take the 3D out of it anyways, which was the only redeeming quality that that ride had in the begin with. Whatever.
Oh my goodness.
Anyways,
Okay.
oh.
Well, that is a lot to like wrap your mind around with all that. Whew.
Yes. Yes, but it's really interesting. So we'll see what
Yeah,
happens. Again, we know nothing. Don't
it's
say
true.
I told you anything. I didn't tell you anything. I'm telling you rumors. But if we're talking about favorite lands, my favorite land is Jurassic Park. That is one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. Always will be. They really went all out with designing the land down to the tiniest little details of like the fossils stamped into the ground,
Mm.
which is so so neat and so cool. And you can find so many little Easter eggs and things like that. And so they really spared no expense when they designed that land. I never told y'all I was going to be funny. But I also feel like this has gotten Jurassic Park has gotten better and better over the years with the addition of the Jurassic World IP and everything that has come along with it. It's really
Hmm.
added a lot. I was worried about that to begin with because I'm such a nostalgia geek that I was like, oh, they're going to add up all this Jurassic World stuff and it's going to ruin Jurassic Park and that aspect of it. And it totally didn't. I think they did it right and
Yeah.
left enough of the original and just kind of supplemented it. And I think that it's a good mesh there now of those different properties. But overall, I think Islands of Adventure is really a huge crowd pleaser because it can appeal to so many different ages and age groups. You've got
Yeah.
everything from Dr. Seuss to, again, those high thrill rides like Velocicoaster and the Hulk. And then you've got some kind of old, less often talked about properties like Betty Boop and Rocky and Bullwinkle and Popeyes that you're not going to
Yeah.
find anywhere else, but there still
That's
are
true.
people who love those IPs and those properties. So it's got a little bit of something for everybody. And in my personal opinion, starting your day with an early park admission ride on Velocicoaster is better than any cup of coffee you're going to find anywhere on the planet. That's it. That's all I got.
I have to agree with you about that park. And I was just like, I I think I really like Jurassic Park. We are definitely like a Harry Potter family outside of Disney, but
Mhm.
I feel like Jurassic Park is more like there's more plant growth and
Yeah.
stuff, and so there could be a lot of people in there and you don't feel like you do when you're in Hogsmeade. Like it's very
Yeah, I
crowded.
think it's also the way that the land is designed with as many like curves and twists and turns as there
Yeah.
are on the path is that it gives the impression that there are less people around you than there actually are.
Yeah.
So I get
And
that for sure.
I think like having now a 12-year-old, I have to mention they have the coolest playground. Camp
Oh yeah.
Jurassic there. Oh my
Yeah.
god. It's big enough for people, like adults to go through. And I
Absolutely. You
love
go down in those caves and
yeah, I love it at night when they have the
Mhm.
torches and stuff. Like
Yeah,
when I
with the
walked into
water, it's so
the
beautiful.
Discovery Center and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is straight." I'm like looking around. I'm like, "This is straight out of the movie." Like
Mhm, the little
I,
machine that turns the eggs and everything, yeah.
yes, and the Mr. DNA or whatever. Like, oh my gosh, if
Yeah,
you love Jurassic Park, you need to visit that land. Like it is, and I feel bad for some of the lands because they do get overshadowed by Harry Potter, but there is some
for sure.
great stuff in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be hard to top you, but I'm going to try with Epic or not Epic, Epcot. Oh my god, being
You
brainwashed
wanna
by
have that
Melinda
battle?
over
Okay, let's have that battle.
here. Sorry, Disney. You're not. Anyway, all right. Well, Epcot. opened much earlier on October 1st in 1982, um, but was very different than what Walt's original design was for the actual. It was meant to be like a city, and the name Epcot stands for Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. And Walt wanted it to be like an urban living area. And unfortunately, with his passing in 1966, his brother Roy was just like, "Yeah, I don't see this being able to come to fruition." So
Oh,
they had to scrap the model community for 20,000 residents. Could you imagine though if that actually was like a place to live? Oh my
oh my
gosh!
God.
You take the
You
monorail
think
over to
Golden Oak is
Magic
bad,
Kingdom. I
right?
know. You definitely want to be on the ground floor of that then. But they ended up shifting. He wanted to retain some aspects of like what Walt was hoping would come from this. So it took almost 20 years before it fully came to fruition. Um, you can still see the original concept of Waltz though in the Magic Kingdom if you ride People Mover. There's like a prototype like model of the community,
Yeah.
and there's a really brief thing that they talk like the narrator of the People Mover talks about. So if you've never been on the People Mover, you can see a
What are
little
you
history
doing?
there. Yeah. What's wrong with you? But anyway, back to Epcot. So when the park opened, was comprised of World Showcase with 11 countries, and then Future World, which is now a series of neighborhoods. And I think that's their way of kind of getting back to this concept of community. Um, so
Makes sense.
the new neighborhoods are World Celebration, World Discovery, and World Nature. If you were to ask me what those were, I would be like, there's Figment and there's the seas.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you where the cutoff is, honestly. In fact, if you're old school Disney, nobody can.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, that's also where the iconic Epcot ball is located, is in that front area where these neighborhoods. And then in the back of the park, as people typically call it, is the World Showcase with the different pavilions. Um, a handful of attractions have survived the years. The American Adventure, which is like an animatronic show. Um, Listen to the Land originally was how it was called. It's now Living with the Land. Imagine Works, which is the indoor playground of the future. It's not much of a future playground right
Right.
now, but it
Heavy
is a
quotations
space.
around future.
Future. But it is a space for young kids and adults alike. After you get off the Figment attraction, you can hang out in there. It's a great place to go if it's rainy too, because it's kind of tucked away. Not a lot of people know about it. And then you have your films like Impressions de France, Oh Canada, and Wonders of China. They've gone through like iterations over the years, but those are kind of like the mainstays that have been there since the beginning. Um, I have to say, my favorite a- attraction that is no longer as a dietitian was Kitchen Cabaret, where like, fruit would sing and dance for you, and like whatever. I loved that as a kid, and maybe that's what convinced me to become a dietitian as an adult. I don't know, but
Oh.
Um, and then I have to say, if you're a lover of naps and midday breaks, Ellen's Energy Adventure in the Universe of Energy was like a nice 20-minute show that you could nap on. So I'm
Yeah.
sad that that's gone, but it was definitely replaced by a far superior attraction, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic
Heck
Rewind.
yeah.
I have to say, I think that's my favorite attraction in all of the parks. Like it's
Okay.
number one for me. And I'm surprised. So the first time we were down there, I wouldn't ride it because I do get motion sickness. I have a prescription
Mm,
patch I wear. And I get treated for vertigo. So I was worried
okay.
that I would not do well with that. It took a lot of convincing on the part of my brother the next time I was down there to go on it. Yeah, it looked like I was going into battle. So I had the patch on. I had like peppermint, like essential oil that I was like breathing in heavily, like
Yeah.
having like, hyper, like, I was pretty anxious. I had the C bands on. I was chewing
You went all
ginger
out.
gum. I'm like, I have everything. I'm not going to get sick on this. I'm terrified. We get on
Yeah.
there and like it was a lot of fun, but for your first time, I did scream. And my brother is next to me and there's a point where I stopped screaming and he looks over cuz he thinks I died. I was choking on the gum I was chewing.
Love
Do not
it.
chew gum on
Only
that
you.
ride. So, yes. But after that time, like getting over the fear, I was like, this is so fantastic. And we've been on it so many times. I love it because it's got this rewrite ability with the different songs that you
Yeah.
can get.
It's so
It's
different from
just,
anything else. Like, I remember just being in
yeah.
awe when I did that ride the first time, and just I think I sat there with my mouth hanging open for 3/4 of the ride, just like, "What is this?" And I'm like you, I get motion sickness as well, but I didn't know what I was going into. I hadn't heard really much about what it was about. I didn't hear the people that had motion sickness problems or anything talking about it, so that wasn't even, like, on my radar, so I don't remember it ever bothering me, but
Yeah.
that is kind of surprising, I guess, for me, so but it is just an absolutely incredible ride.
I can go on it now without anything. I still use the patch, but
Sure.
like, so I
Yeah.
was over prepared. Um, I would say if you're not a fan of thrill rides, my other favorite is Living with the Land. It's like the epitome of edutainment.
Mhm.
And the best time to go is during the holiday season when they convert it to glittering greenhouses. If you ever pay for the lightning lane, I would highly recommend getting a pass for this and then like doing it in the evening so that they
Mhm.
have all the Christmas lights on and it's just really like pretty. They decorate
You only told
the
me I'm gonna need a living
greenhouses.
lane for living with the land.
Right. It's so true.
Shade, no
Wait
shade.
time wait times will get over 2 hours during glittering greenhouses. Every other
Oh,
time
do they
it's like
really?
2 minutes. Yes,
Oh,
the
okay.
longest outside of that is walking to the boats, like,
Right.
from the,
That's your
but
wait.
anyway, so yeah, if I would say that's a great option for nostalgia. It's family friendly. They can accommodate anyone, if you have a wheelchair or a scooter, it's a great option. And again, I'm a fan of things that are rewritable. So like
Yeah.
every time you go through, you're gonna hear the same spiel, but when you get into like the actual greenhouse and there's an area where there's like fish, like there could be cast members that are like cultivating things, they're always growing different things. So there's always something different to see. And I love
Yeah.
that about that attraction. We also did the behind the seeds tour, which is an hour
Mhm.
long. It was pretty reasonably priced, like $30 a person. And you got to go like where the cast members go and see things from the backside of things. We got to feed the fish. That was exciting. So,
I
yeah,
love
it's just kind of fun.
Yeah, I love the if you go to the Garden Cafe, right? That's what it's called, right? Garden Cafe, the
Sun Garden Grill
Garden Grill.
with
Thank you,
the
Garden Grill. I
yes.
knew it was
Okay.
Garden
Yes.
something. If you go to the Garden Grill and do their character dining, the food that you have on the table, the majority of it that can be grown comes from those greenhouses and living with the land, and I think that's a really cool aspect and, like, a cool little tidbit to tell people. People
Yeah,
always
and
think that that's neat.
that's that was actually one of my dining options that I was going to mention next. So we're thinking
Oh,
alike
okay.
here.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, we really love Garden Grill. It's probably our favorite character dining experience, but we also love Chip and Dale, so you can meet them there.
Yeah,
Mickey
they're so
in his
fun.
little farm outfit, and then Pluto. If you want to experience like the festival booths, you have ample opportunities throughout the year. However, those lines get really long. And I will
Mhm.
say that at least in like Disneyland, when they have festivals, you can go to any booth and you can order any food from any of the booths at that booth and pay for it, and then walk up to the other booths and just pick out what you already paid for. And I
Oh,
wish they had
interesting.
something like that in Disney World, because people go and they wait and they're like
Forever. Yeah.
deciding, and then you have to wait for like the registers to, because they're like Wi-Fi or whatever, and they're outdoors, and
Yeah.
so the lines can
People
be
can't
very
pronounce the name of
lengthy.
everything and sit there and
Yeah.
struggle with it. And do
Yeah.
yourself a favor, skip the
So,
Italy booth,
yeah.
no matter what. Doesn't matter
Sure,
what
we'll talk
festival it
of
is, just don't do it.
Yeah, that will definitely come up in future episodes, I'm sure.
For
And I
sure.
can't wait to hear your rants. um, Honestly, the last time I was down there, I went between festivals and I enjoyed it more
Okay.
because there
I can
wasn't
see
this
that.
like throng of people. Like, yeah. So,
Yeah.
um,
'Cause that's a
now
really nice
addition.
area to just, like, walk around in and enjoy and explore, and it's
Mhm,
very difficult to do that when, 1, there's booths all over the place, and 2, those
mhm.
booths then have lines full of people everywhere, so
Exactly. And that's one thing that is great about Epcot is that you can go in there and like there's walk on attractions, like generally Figment and Living with the Land, even like Spaceship Earth and the Epcot Ball. That one usually has a low wait unless it goes down or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then just being able to explore like in the pavilions, there's just so much to see. There's shopping that you can just from different countries to see different things. So I do
Yeah.
love like that aspect of it. You're not spending your whole day waiting in lines. Um, but on back on my dining, because I have a couple other ones that I have to sell you on for this park. I got to win this battle
Oh.
today. My daughter is really big into space, and so I think it was a really hot commodity when it first opened. Space 220 is a restaurant where you're like 220 miles above the surface of the earth,
Uh-huh.
and I won't spoil anything for anyone still wanting to go on, experience this, but it's a really unique dining opportunity. If you get into the actual dining area, it is a really expensive dining opportunity. It's prefix. It's not worth the cost of that. But if you can score a
Mm.
lounge reservation, you can
Oh,
do a la
yes.
carte items, and it's much more affordable that way. So I would say if you're ever interested in checking that out, keep an eye out for those lounge ones. It's a small lounge space, so they do go fast, but you never know. If you're there for a while and you want to try and get in there, keep an eye out for that. And then kind of along that same sort of vibe, they have a new adults only lounge called Geo 82, and I got a chance to check this out. It is a beautiful space. It's got some like retro vibes of early like 1980s Epcot. They brought in pieces that were used in adornments and stuff before they did renovations in certain areas of the park. But the thing that really stuck out to me was the service. I had a cast member who, like, I was seated at the bar because I was by myself, and the cast member like addressed me by my name, and then every time he came back to like either deliver a food item or a different drink or give recommendations, he's like, "Hey Trisha, how are you doing?" And I'm like, I was there an hour, and like the fact that he always used my name, and he was serving people
Yeah.
all along the bar to remember who I'm like, I don't know where you have my
Yeah.
name written down, but you are doing a great job.
Those little
So
personal touches mean a lot.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the drinks are they're pricey, but they're like small batch, handcrafted. They're so good if you, especially if you're like a beverage connoisseur. Their appetizers are great. I loved the mushroom flatbread, and they have like whatever the fancy term they use. Essentially, it's a crab cake, but it was really good as well.
Yeah.
Um, and if you want something on the opposite spectrum of cost, I love Yorkshire County Fish Shop. They have these like the greatest fried fish and chips there. And then what I'll do is take it and go behind and sit in the garden area in like the UK pavilion. Usually there's a
Uh-huh.
band playing, or it's just sometimes it's just quieter. There's usually fewer people back there. So it's a nice quick service meal
Sounds
that you can grab.
This sounds oddly familiar to Islands of Adventure and going into the Leaky Cauldron and getting fish and chips and going on the
There
back
you
patio
go.
of Leaky Cauldron right by Velocicoaster and sitting there and just
Okay.
enjoying.
Okay, you heard it here, folks. It sounds to me like Melinda's throwing a challenge, and both of us are going to have to find our way down to Florida to test out the 2 servings of fried fish here sometime.
Done. I will do that in 2 weeks. I am going to be
All
in both
right.
parks. Challenge accepted. Look for the
Okay.
lives coming up,
No,
people.
no favoritism towards Universal.
I can't be unbiased. I'm sorry, but I'll be honest.
Okay. I really hope you get a chance to do this because now I'm curious.
No, I'm going to
Um,
100%. I love it.
so yeah, so I love this park. There's just so much to do. They have these things called kid cop stops where you can like interact with cast members that are from the country. Like that was probably the saddest thing is when they
Hmm.
reopened after the shutdown. They had just local people running everything, and now they've started up the international program again. So they'll like say they'll write like hello or happy birthday to you if it's your birthday, like in their language, and it's just really neat to have those interactions. There's like the newer like Journey of Water with featuring Moana, where like kids and adults alike can like interact with water. You get a little wet, but it's not like soaked like when you're on like the
Yeah, you
village
can
the
really
what's that ride? The rat ride over in the
pop
islands.
build rat barges.
Yes. You are soaked on that one. That's not what I'm talking about here.
Drenched. No, Moana, you can absolutely, you decide how wet you want to get.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Um
Yeah.
Sassy. Um and then the last thing I want to mention because I don't know how many people know about this. Yes, it's kind of annoying when you're on your app a lot, but they do have an app called Play Disney. There's things you can do in all of the parks, like domestic parks and at home. And one of the things you can do in Epcot is you can play the DuckTales World Showcase Adventure. And so there's certain pavilions where this is like in like I know it's France and Mexico and the UK for sure, maybe China. I think China and you like do a mystery or you're solving crime with the DuckTales on your phone. And then it has like live interactive things that happen. So you solve a puzzle in an area you're supposed to be in and it triggers something to happen in the actual pavilion. So that's
That's
really
really cool.
neat too.
Yeah, I've
Yeah. And
heard of I didn't know a ton about it. I've just heard that it was a thing you could do if you wanted something to do, but I also love me some DuckTales, so I think I might need to
I
check that
thought it
one
was
out too.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say it used to be Kim Possible themed, but like younger
Okay.
kids don't really know who that is anymore. I grew up on her, so I was sad to see her go, but also like this DuckTales one is really cute.
Hmm.
So if
I
you ever
also think
have
it's
like a
kind of
half an
funny
hour,
that they go from like Kim Possible, which is, you know, older and a bit nostalgic
yeah,
for people, to DuckTales, which is also older, maybe even
yeah,
it is older than Kim Possible
yeah,
even is, but I guess they've done reimagining and
yeah.
stuff like that of it now.
Yeah, they use the newer animation style in the app, so I think that's how
Okay,
it's like kids can connect to it. But then there's
that makes
like you
sense.
said, the nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
So, there's so much to do in Epcot. There's more than one sit down restaurant. Just gonna say that right now.
Hey,
So I love it. I mean, I do love islands, but I think Epcot's like it's always been my daughter's favorite park, which really surprised me because we started taking her to Disney when she was 4. So I don't,
wow, and
whatever.
it was even back then her favorite?
Yeah, that's because the Frozen boat ride is there, and she was the Frozen kid.
Yeah.
Like she was born the year the movie came out, so like that was a big
Oh,
deal to her,
yeah.
and I think that like that sealed the deal on her favorite park. So
I've never seen
yeah,
Frozen.
okay. Well, we're gonna be ending the
Even
show indefinitely because
yeah.
of that announcement. Melinda,
I've seen the
I'll forgive
movie.
you.
I've never been on the ride. I'm sorry.
Well,
Sorry, not
so
sorry,
Melinda
really.
will be eating fried fish as she's going down the boat drop on Frozen and her trip in a couple of weeks. Catch her live on her socials.
Oh, we'll see. Listen, the name of the game for this trip is to do things that I haven't done before. So I probably need to do it, especially now that they have the new animatronics and everything that are substantially better than
Yes.
they were before. But
Yes.
but I do agree that Epcot has really kind of grown into itself over the past
Mhm.
decade, I want to say. Like I was just planning a trip for a client and she's got 3 little girls and she was considering, even though they were there for 6 days, not doing Epcot at all. And I was like, "No, no, 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 no." It's a little different. She hadn't been there in 12 years or something. So she was
Mm,
thinking the Epcot of the past where Ratatouille and Frozen and even Nemo and Moana didn't exist in those parks. So, or in that
yeah.
park. And so she was like, it's not going to be worth it for me to chase around 3 little girls and she's pregnant in a bunch of
Ooh.
different countries and that's it. And then I'm going to look at all the alcohol that I want to drink and can't because I'm pregnant. But I I convinced her that it's a necessary park now at the very least. And I know
Mhm.
it is definitely a favorite now of a lot of people. So, but I think that's it for this episode today. So, did we score a hit and leave it all in the ring? We want to hear from you. You can vote in our weekly poll. We've got one up on Instagram and one up on Facebook every week. We are at Theme Park Throwdown on both Facebook and Instagram and also on YouTube. You can also shoot us an email at themeparkthrowdown@gmail.com. And if you need help planning your next vacation, make sure that you reach out to either Tricia or I for all of your travel needs. We can help you with just about anything travel related, anything you need, anywhere you want to go. You can go to portkeyvacations.com and fill out a quote request and get started and make sure that you request either Tricia or I to be your advisor. Or you can also reach out to us individually through a direct message on our social pages. You can also check out all of our sister podcasts on the UUOP network. We've got the unofficial Universal Orlando podcast, the Taste of Universal podcast, the unofficial Universal Great Britain podcast, the Portkey Passport, a Disney podcast for adults, the Theme Park Duo for West Coast Park stuff, Rush of Fear, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast, and Big Dumb Stuff. And that is all for this throwdown, you guys. See you next week in the ring.